So, Mark, did you see the pool at Buffalo Bills in Prim? That beautiful buffalo shaped pool, and so many people in it. Like, what the heck happened? This is great.
Are we sure this picture isn't from 2018?
Or 1995.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, everybody just wanted to have the right to pee in a buffalo shaped pool, I guess.
You only live once. So on the last show, we talked a little bit about the numbers, the gaming numbers specifically, and how they were down just a little bit, about 1% or so. And of course, as always happens, right after we record, the rest of the numbers come in, and the visitor stats and the airport numbers come in, and they were a little bit worse. We've been accused now, Mark, of trying to sugarcoat this summer and is bad, and that's really ridiculous. I want to say anybody commenting is really ridiculous. All we're saying is let's wait for the data, and that it's not going to be a catastrophic 50% drop. We just want to see what the truth is, and I guess everybody wants sensationalism.
You know what I'm most excited about from the comments on the last video?
Oh God, what?
That somebody said we're saying Fontainebleau wrong again. It's been a few months. I was surprised. We hadn't heard it in a while.
I had patience in my response. Yeah, it all comes down. But if you look at the airport traffic, down 3.4%. So, not huge. Spirit also giving up again. We talked about that last month. So Spirit really pulling out of Vegas, or, 24% drop for them. But if you look at the overall visitor numbers, and that's a big number to look at, down 5.1%. But convention attendance really drove that because it was up 14% almost. So without that, if convention business was flat, you probably would have seen a larger decline. But look at the RevPAR, up 3.2%, the hotel occupancy down about 1%, and the average daily rate was up 4.4%. So if you add in the gaming numbers that were just slightly down, this really isn't that bad of a month. But there are signs, and we'll talk more about those later in the show, that trouble is ahead and some casinos are very worried.
Yeah, so they're struggling. It's a little bit soft, but yet they're charging more than they were last year. Makes sense. Totally makes sense for Vegas. No, but I'm really curious. Southwest is such a huge part of the numbers in Vegas. By far the biggest airline of bringing people in. And, we talked in the Miles and Points world on the travel show that Southwest has changed a whole bunch of things. They're charging for bags. They're going to be charging for seats soon. You can't do the changes, with all the bookings anymore. And there's a lot of negativity towards this, like to check your bags is going to be expensive now. Are people going to stop booking? And, it's so popular going to Vegas. They book ahead. They can make a change. That's all different. And that ended May 28th, I believe. So anything booked before that. So we could still, over the next several months, a lot of people probably book their flights before that May deadline. So they still, have the free bags and stuff. So we might not see it until later in the year. But I want to see like fall numbers. Does Delta get a bit closer? Does Southwest start to shrink? Do we see those numbers kind of come back down to earth, or are they still the best deal or best route for a lot of people? I'm not so sure, but yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be walking away from Southwest thinking this isn't the best airline to book, especially going into Vegas anymore.
Yeah, they really turned into the Vegas of airlines, right? Found all these fees, and they didn't even start with their baggage fees at a reasonable number. Like, what is it, $35 for your first bag? So they came out swinging, private equity, ruining another business. There you go.
You used to get 2 bags free. The second bag, I think, is $45. So you went from free for the 2 bags to now $80 for those 2 bags. You used to be able to fly your golf clubs for free. Now there's a big fee for that. And, golf is big in Vegas, and I'm sure a lot of people bring their golf clubs. That was a big reason to fly Southwest Airlines if you were going on a golf trip. So you're losing all those people now. They're going to go for the cheapest price possible, or, better service, all those things, better routing, where they might have taken a connection on Southwest because they could bring their clubs for free. So yeah, I think they're going to be hurting in the Vegas market.
The world's best vacation value, only in Las Vegas.
Which brings us to this 1993 video, Las Vegas, the best vacation value. How have times changed so much? This is the official Las Vegas advertisement to the world saying you will never find value. You can get so much more here, experience, hotel room, everything else for your money than you will anywhere else in the world just 30 years ago.
Yeah, I love that, the 90s, the family travel, and it was all, kids going to the buffet and going to the show and swimming in the pool. and just how misguided that was for the time being. Like, why were they trying to make Vegas Disney? Like, hey, don't go to Disney. That's expensive. Come here with your kids. It's way better. That was so short lived. It's just kind of funny that anybody thought that was going to be a long term thing. Vegas, I think Vegas still has value. If you look at like hotel rooms, what they charge, and what you get for the hotel room versus any other major city in the US, I think you're still getting value there. But you're not getting the value you used to get dining and all the other stuff. I think that's kind of come up to where it's more expensive sometimes than LA, New York, Miami, things like that. So you've lost some of the value where you used to be able to eat for cheap and stay for cheap. You're still getting value on the hotel side of things, but maybe not so much in the experience side of things.
I'm not going to lie, this commercial gave a lot of nostalgia. I moved to Las Vegas in 1993, so I visited for the many years before that. So that's the Las Vegas I remember very fondly. But today's Las Vegas is different. For example, here is the Flamingo charging a $60 early check-in fee at the kiosk. And what that does is it forces everybody not to check in. Or who the hell is going to pay a $60 early check-in fee at Flamingo unless you're getting there at like 5 or 6 a.m. and it makes sense. And then follow it up, a video somebody tagged us in a few days later. Crazy, crazy lines to check in because everybody waits till the check-in time. You have thousands of rooms. You don't staff your front desk. Why do these companies not care?
Yeah, and you see MGM, they have their app where you can check in on the app, but we've talked about, I tried to check in at like 7 o'clock and they're like, oh, we don't have a room ready for you. And then I tried at the kiosk, they said, we don't have a room ready for you. Then I go to the front desk and they find me a room. And so that doesn't even work all the time. And they only had 2 people staffed at New York. There was a line, even though it was late in the night. You still had to wait because every single check-in person takes 10 minutes to check somebody in. It's annoying. And, you go to the old school Vegas hotels and you see that they used to have like 40 desks for check-in and they still have it in some of them. But they're only staffing 4 or 5 of them. And you get these lines. It's just annoying. It's all about money. Yeah, the $60 fee, now you probably want to pay it because you're going to hopefully skip that line. If that room's available, what are you gaining by charging $60? If it's clean and you can go get into it, why you're just going to let it sit there until 3 p.m. to try to hold out for more money where you could get people through the queue, get them out of the way, and they're happy. They're going to be spending money gambling, eating, or drinking after they drop their stuff off in the room. It just doesn't make sense to me.
You mentioned it earlier. If these casinos would just spend a little bit of money and cut the check-in time from a 10-minute typing on your keyboard and all this other stuff to 3 or 4 minutes of check-in, then you could check in twice as many people with the employees that you have. I do not understand. And it just seems like so many of the Vegas casinos are like this, where when you do check in with somebody, it takes them forever to like figure out. I don't know if they're putting you into a room. I don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think they're looking for, but why isn't it just like, boom, here are the available rooms. Here you go, pick this one. Or here's like we have AI, we have computers. It should be fair. Okay, you're checking in. Here you go. You're looking for a king. Here, this king's available. Is the floor okay with you? Cool. Here you go. Bam. On your way. You been here before? Good. I don't need to give you the spiel. Or type up a pamphlet. Here's a pamphlet. Read what about the restaurants and crap. Get the hell out of here. Let's move.
Yeah, let's do something. Right, technology. They went right to the kiosks, but what about using technology to fix your system and an AI on the back end to assign rooms and actually have people there? I think there's a way to do this where you could make it good for people. I don't know, but it is clear these early check-in fees are forcing people to check in later, which crushes the front desks. And this is something that's happening across the properties. And these videos are not new. They don't happen every day. And they do have kiosks that work. Sometimes they don't work. So then this happens. MGM has had it happen. Caesars has had it happen. Other casinos. But it sucks to see. But let's clear the palate for a second and talk about Guy Fieri bringing value to Las Vegas. And this is actually true, right? Flavor Town. Yeah, all you can eat. $20. And this is at Horseshoe, their Flavor Town Sports Kitchen, because he has multiple locations around town. I was kind of shocked when I saw this, and Chris Holmes, 710 Suited, shared this. But he shared the menu, $19.99. You can upgrade to steak and eggs for $10 more. All you can drink for $30 more on top of that. That's more iffy if it's a value, but I guess if you drink a lot, it is. I think there's a 90-minute time limit on it, but I think that this isn't going to last very long, and I noticed they didn't print the price on the menu, so $30 by next week.
It's still cheaper than a pinup pizza.
Yeah, that's true. You can get 2 all-you-can-eat for what price of 1 pinup pizza.
Yeah,
I think Guy's food is okay. It's fine. Like for $20, he has some good dishes, and it's kind of comfort food, that sort of stuff. So yeah, go do that.
Yeah, I would do this in a heartbeat. I think this is kind of what we've been missing, like something like this. And $20 isn't even that like massive of a deal for a breakfast buffet, but we haven't seen it in so long that it feels almost like a novelty and something exciting. And this is like, how much did he charge it for a chicken sandwich when the one guy went off on TikTok? Wasn't it like $20 for a chicken sandwich? So you can get a whole 90 minutes of breakfast for the same.
Yeah, I guess there's no coordination between those things. But yeah, this is good news, and some more good news coming from Plaza in downtown. And you could comment whether you think this is signs of trouble to come, softness to come. But Plaza did run their all-inclusive special last summer. I think it required a 2-night minimum stay, but when I was playing around on their site, I did not see a two-night minimum this time. And they advertised from $125 per person, which would be about $250 a night. But I saw some nights for $167 plus tax. There is no resort fee. You get breakfast and dinner. You get bottomless drinks at their bars there, waived resort fee, like I said. And then they have discounted appetizers and drinks at Oscars, which I couldn't figure out what that was. I tried to do the research on that. I'm sure they give you like a little coupon book or something. But this is really a solid deal. You know, it's downtown. You're paying probably about a $100 premium for some of these nights, and it's good through the summer. So, you know, if you're actually taking advantage of the drinks and the food, I think you're coming out way ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a good promo for them. They're going to fill up some rooms, especially during the weekdays and things like that, when they maybe would have been really, really soft in the summer. And we've been talking about how the summer isn't going to be as busy as we've seen in the past, it feels like. So this is, and they ran it last year, but this is adding value, giving you something unique, something a little different, where you can, all right, here's my budget. I booked my room. That's going to cover drinks and some food and all that stuff, where you know you're not going to have to come out of pocket. And I think that's what a lot of people want. That's why all inclusives are so popular. That's why cruise ships are so popular, because they pay one fee and then most everything is included, so that they know, okay, I paid for my vacation. All I got to do is bring my gambling money and they can make it work. And I think that's a great setup, and I wish more people would do it.
I love how Plaza put the fireworks as one of the benefits of this, their Friday fireworks. But it gave me an excuse to show this picture from John Skelton. He sent it to me of the fireworks, and it's a beautiful picture. So shout out to him. Kind of gives you an idea of the sexiness of it all.
Yeah, now we got to go to the negative side, right, of Plaza, for Brian at least.
I don't know. Is this negative? I mean, so part of Plaza's expansion was they expanded Oscars with that beautiful patio. I talked about it on previous show. I mean, I really love it out there. One of the coolest places to have a meal in all of Las Vegas. And right below that is their non-smoking slots area that was themed to Brian Christopher slots. And it's been interesting the last couple of years. We've talked about Vegas Matt on this show. He really has taken over as the #1 slot influencer. And Brian Christopher a couple of years ago was that before the maturation of the space. But I don't know what's going on there. It seemed like his farewell video was very positive. So probably the contract just ran out. It's going to stay as a non-smoking slots room. BC probably didn't bring in a lot of people. I never saw a ton of people in there every time I've walked by there. It's kind of off to the side, separate from their main casino. And clearly the non-smoking thing isn't so much of a draw.
Yeah, the 2 or 3 times I walked by there, it was like maybe 1, 2 people in there. And then even in his farewell video, there's literally 0 people in the thing. So I could see why they wouldn't renew it if that was the case. And some people in the Twitter thread said there was already a non-smoking area before, even though in his video he was saying that this was the first non-smoking area on Fremont Street or whatever. So I don't know which one's more accurate there, but yeah, I could see, if you're not bringing in people, if the name isn't, and it was kind of a weird setup, like, his quotes were all over a picture of him. It just didn't, it felt a little bit tacky, I guess. I don't know. It just did. I don't think anybody's like, oh, I want to go gamble so I can look at pictures of Brian. I don't know. I think Jonathan Jostle's kind of probably kicking himself that he didn't wait for Vegas Matt to come through.
Yeah, El Cortez, they came through. I mean, it's too late now. I don't know how they can make the space any better. I think it's the first dedicated space in like its own casino, because it is separate from the rest of the casino. So that, I don't know if it's a technicality. Other casinos might have had non-smoking areas within their casinos. But it is completely separate from the Plaza Casino. It's also right by the entrance. So you would think if they could figure out a way to get people in there, maybe open it up a little bit, but then, maybe get rid of the non-smoking and build something out. I mean, it's right by the Carousel Bar, Pink Box. There's always a ton of people in that area, yet they never go that way. So we'll see how they figure it out. But I don't think this is huge drama. It didn't seem like it. Just probably a marketing partnership coming to an end.
Yeah, I think that's what's cool about it, and kudos to Brian for not like being all upset about it, even if maybe he is inside. I think it was really cool to see that. And somebody mentioned like move the Sand Dollar to there, and then the non-smoking to the Sand Dollar area, so that it's more a part of the casino. Maybe that's part of the problem. which I could see being the part of it, and then Sand Dollar right front of everything would be pretty cool too. But I doubt they're going to spend that kind of money moving stuff around like that.
Somebody said maybe Vital Vegas that they're adding windows to the Sand Dollar, which is a good thing because it's very dark. It's hard to see in there, and that will maybe help it out because every time I've gone by there, there's no. Of course, I'm not there late at night when the bands are playing and stuff like that. But outside of those times, there's barely anybody in there. You can't even see what's there. So maybe a lot of tweaks here at Plaza, but a property we still like. As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show behind the channel. Lots of our Vegas antics, some of our personal stuff. Complaints.
J-Lo bashing coming your way.
Patreon.com/MTM Vegas. Thanks to everybody who supports us over there. The day you have been waiting for, Mark, is finally coming. The Fontainebleau Hall of Excellence will open on June 20th. This is that sports memorabilia museum that will have all of Tom Brady's rings, but it's also going to have like self-guided tour, it says, with voices of Oprah and Bob Costas and Snoop Dogg, and of course Tom Brady, Muhammad Ali's boxing gloves, Tiger Woods' golf ball from his first Masters win, all this random sports stuff, and $35 to get in.
How do you waste millions of dollars for 1,000, Alex?
It is expensive. I was saying, like, if you really wanted to make this a thing, especially we talk about some of the struggles, I mean, I think this is actually pretty cool. We're both sports fans in different arenas. I think it would be neat to kind of see some of this stuff, but $35 is premium.
Should be free. Should be free. If you're going to do it and you want to bring people in for it, make it like all the other stuff in Vegas back in the day where it's free. It's a part of visiting Fontainebleau. That would get people in the door. Charging $35, nobody's going to pay that for this. It's not even going to probably be big enough to be like considered a museum. And you're charging $35, make it free. And then have people, or if you gamble $10, $20, whatever it is, you get a free pass to it. Like, this is just more of how out of touch Fontainebleau is. Nobody's coming to Fontainebleau and paying $35 going out of their way to see this.
Well, good news for locals, it's only $30, Mark, and children are only $20.
After you pay for the parking.
How about this? You win $1 million jackpot. This happened at Red Rock on, I think, a Dragon Cash machine, and you ask for it to be paid in all cash. I think that's a baller move. That's what happened. I think T-Bone, our favorite guy from Colorado, he first posted about it, but then Red Rock actually posted a picture of the cash. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, T-Bone's a good follow if you haven't followed him on Twitter. No, this is pretty good. I mean, it's so fun to see. I don't know that people realize how heavy $1 million probably is to carry. So I hope he had some help bringing it out, or her, whoever won, bringing it out with them. But also, I feel like way more risk that I'm going to get jumped somewhere on the way. So I would want to do it, but I also wouldn't, because there's just too many things that can go wrong with it.
Yeah, as you say, the person remained anonymous, so probably smartly, you don't want that all out there. I love how they put the big check on the empty chair in front of the machine, but I mean, an amazing jackpot, though.
Yeah, and then are we going to talk about how they were betting $250 a spin?
I mean, yeah, this is, you see this stuff with the influencers. It's sort of nuts. Like, it desensitizes you to that. But there are these people that are gambling that. And you're talking about slots, right? Which is high variance. And it's not like table games where you probably will get a better return to player. You can figure out, especially if you get your skill levels up in certain games. At slots, it's just slots. And even then, you don't really know what the return to player is. So you just figure out over time. I think Dragon Cash in old favor for people. But they're chasing that, and every once in a while you get lucky.
Yeah, but I'm thinking if you're betting $250 a swing, you're probably, this million probably doesn't even take you out of whatever you were in, or it just it definitely isn't hitting it home as hard. And that's, assumption on my part for sure. But I did some math, because I'm like, okay, if you're betting $250, that's only 4,000 spins at $1 million. So if you go through like a bet, and yes, you're not going to lose everything 4,000 times in a row. But think about it this way. If you're getting, so many spins an hour, that's like 7 hours, 8 hours worth of spins. That doesn't seem like much to win off of it, does it?
No, I mean, I think you could win it. Generally, you probably win that on a lower bet, like a $50 bet, and you would be eligible for that. So the fact that it was the higher bet, that is what it is. But yeah, Mark Meltzer, I think, asked this question on Twitter saying, what should your bankroll be? And I think some people were basically saying, 400 to 500 spins. Some people saying 100 spins, which would be 25,000. But I think people landed between your bankroll to do 250 a spin. You should be going in with at least $40,000 to $50,000. So we're talking about real money here. So who's doing that? I mean, somebody who has a lot of it.
Yeah, and maybe it's not as exciting. And once that tax gets taken away from it, it definitely feels a lot less exciting. But it's still really cool, and I love that they got it in cash. That's pretty epic, and hopefully it doesn't all go right back into the machine.
Yeah, just throw it right back in. Another Fontainebleau story, just to follow up, we don't have to talk much about this. We rumored a couple shows ago that a bunch of dealers were being let go, and Fontainebleau had to confirm this, and I believe it's because of the pressure from social media personalities, Las Vegas Locally, Vital Vegas, and others kind of sharing this, that they had to confirm it to the Review Journal and others, saying that dozens of dealers were let go. Some people saying up to 60 of them. So yeah, the trouble that we were talking about, it certainly seems like it's here.
The Hall of Excellence will fix all things, Sean. Don't worry. Those dealers are coming back in no time.
Yeah, they should give them jobs, the dealers over at the Hall of Excellence. This show is long, but let's move across the street to Resorts World. Another exciting development, they announced that they're official partners with Zoox. I still haven't figured out what the right pronunciation of that is, which is neat. I mean, we're talking about autonomous taxis on the Las Vegas Strip, and Resorts World is going to have a dedicated area for them, which is good. It's just really a marketing partnership. But out of all the companies that are trying to do autonomous taxis in Vegas, it seems like Zoox has really been the one to market the most and kind of get in there. Get in there.
Slide into their DMs. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
No, and I think they said that there's going to be like an experience type of thing added too, which if I'm going to guess, I think it's going to be something like maybe they put one of them inside the casino so you can get into, see what it feels like, and then maybe have like a video explaining the process and everything. I think that'd be really cool because you're going to have issues with like, non-early adopters being willing to take it and all that. So I think giving them a comfort level of trying out what the seat feels like, how it all works, and all the technology behind it, I think is a really good idea.
Also a good idea, free parking on the Las Vegas Strip. And Resorts World is bringing back free parking, and the excitement kind of lasted for about a second until we realized that it was going to end on August 28th. They say this is going to be a test. They should have just gone back and said free parking, and they're trying to like have their cake and eat it too. Remember, the guy who sort of is the head of the board at Resorts World is the guy who instituted paid parking at MGM Resorts. So he brought paid parking to the Las Vegas Strip. And they're saying, oh, it's going to be a temporary thing because they still want to be able to have that revenue back. I don't know. People should support this casino. It's good. I just hope they come to their senses and extend it. And maybe this will be a trend that goes to other properties. But a lot of people excited about this.
Yeah, I don't blame them for putting an end date on it so that at least they're not saying paid parking is gone. And then in September, they're like, you know what, we're bringing it back. That would be worse, I think, in my opinion. I wish they would just keep it full term like you do. But I hope that they do see an uptick of visitors and money flowing into the casino and the restaurants and all that stuff. I hope it is a positive thing so that they go, you know what, this is working. We're going to keep it and keep it free from going forward. And then maybe other people will pick it up and do something similar. But I don't blame them for, putting a time frame on it. But I just hope it really is successful and they keep it that way.
Yeah, I do too. And they did say they're looking at the data. If a lot of locals come, they may make it free for locals without a time limit. There's some other things. So it's clear it's a test and probably another sign that the summer is soft and they're already struggling. So a soft summer on the entire Strip is not good for properties like Fontainebleau or Resorts World. And we might see more promotions, more things like this. But, the other thing to say about this, I always see comments on Twitter and elsewhere about how far the parking garage is. Park in the hotel garage. There's two garages. There's one that's attached. There's one that's not. And unless the property is packed, you can find space in the one, and it's called the hotel garage. And yeah, you'll save yourself a lot of hot walking in the summer.
I remember the first time I got an Uber out there, I had to walk out to buy the second garage, and they picked me up on the road there. It was so weird.
Yeah, it's not covered, I don't think. Very hot, and it's not a great way to arrive at a property. It's a leftover from Echelon and the previous project that garage was already built. But yeah, Resorts World moving in. A lot of signs, positivity. We got some 1999 Guy Fieri, all you can eat. Some deals happening, Plaza downtown. Some concern with the numbers. Resorts World going free parking, layoffs at Fontainebleau. It's all over the place, but I do think it's going to be quite an interesting summer. So let us know what you guys think about everything we discussed down in the comments. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. I'm traveling. If you want to see more about my travels, check out MTM Travel, talking about that every week here as I go. And thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.
The day you have been waiting for, Mark. The Facebook Hall of Excellence is opening on June 20th. This is the place
Did you
where
say?
you can see.
Wait, did you say Facebook?
I said I
Facebook?
said Facebook because I saw FB. Oh, I'm so glad you
Facebook
caught
Hall of
that.
Excellence.
I should really put that in the outtakes, but I'm too embarrassed.
Yeah, I think.
I'll put it in.